The last panelist is Rani Hong, the founder of the Tronie Foundation. When she was 7 years old, Rani was stolen from her mother and sold as a slave. In 2006, she created the Tronie Foundation. This was a foundation aimed at eliminating human trafficking, with her husband, who had also suffered from similar trafficking. They created the Freedom Seal, which is a visual sign that companies can use to show their clients that their practices are actively contributing to combating human trafficking. You have the floor.
Great, thank you, Chair. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to be here among you. So you've seen me probably several times, but it's exciting each time because I see there's progress. So it is my goal here today to guide the United Nations with member states and the leadership that's represented in this room. To be able to share with you as a former victim and how you can help us in development with peace, security, and human rights as victims of human trafficking around the world. So again, I am here grateful to be here as a CEO of a civil society. I think I've really seen a lot of progress in having the representations of the civil society here, and the voices are as important as well. So some of you may remember me from 2010. I have been working with the UN since 2010. I had the privilege of being part of making the recommendations to the General Assembly, again, carrying the voice of those who are not here. In 2013, remember, I put out an ambitious, our 3-point plan to end slavery in our lifetime. And so today, I will be discussing the achievements, the gaps, and the challenges that we consider as we're implementing the Sustainable Development Goals, and also ways forward in accomplishing the global plan. So as we know, as we become aware of fighting child trafficking, we've heard we cannot overlook the power of survivor-led solutions. And so my personal story is that of a young girl stolen from my family and sold into slavery. I'm talking about a 7-year-old child that cried and cried for my mother, and nobody was there to rescue me. I'm talking about how I was treated in the slave-like conditions, kept in a cage, so I would be limited. My legs were not working since I was not walking properly. My body had shut down, and I really wasn't functioning. But see, the traffickers could see one more profit to be made. So then that's why they decided to sell me for international adoption from southern India to Canada into the United States. So my captors used intimidation and force to control me. And so by age 8, they actually put me as close to death. So last week and just earlier today, we heard the numbers, right? 40 million slaves in the world today. And sometimes those numbers are horrific and so big that we sometimes forget the one. So today, I am here to turn a social, a geopolitical, economic issue into a human one. Beneath all of us and all the slave-like conditions we are people, just like you and just like your children. We're looking for somebody to love us and to take care of us. So the way forward, so what my recommendations on the way forward, and in 2010, as we decided when we launched the Global Plan of Action to combat trafficking in persons, we agreed, and then as member states, to reinforce. I heard a lot of member states reinforce their political will to saying, yes, we can do this, yes, we're going to fight it. So that was encouraging to me as a former slave. So let me briefly outline my vision. So for the last 17 years, I have partnered with the grassroots advocacy and worked with local communities to implement a tangible solution, not just all on paper, but to actually bring it to the ground and bring tangible solutions to solving this problem. So you see my master, my owner, my trafficker. He was an accountant in a manufacturing company in southern India. So today, in addition to joining this esteemed body, I would like to share one of the solutions, as mentioned before, as what both my husband and I, we created the Freedom Seal. Being two former victims, and then as we got married in our adult life, we realized there needs to be a symbol that represents freedom from slavery. So in our work, we created the Freedom Seal, which is now specifically a vehicle, a framework for companies to be able to join the fight against human trafficking. So the Freedom Seal, there's still, as we look on the whole issue of slavery, there are still a few gaps. As we all know, there are a lot of gaps in here. One of them is for finding for companies to be transparent and being able to connect the phases of the supply chain, and from how workers find their way to the factories and to the standards to factory owners are held to, and to how the goods produced that are transported and delivered to the consumers. We know a lot of times that it is tainted by slavery within the whole supply chain. So our seal, the Freedom Seal, provides a tangible evidence to regulatory authorities. I have a team who is a third-party certification who works with companies and help them to make progress. And as they do, they earn the Freedom Seal. So this is a mark of a movement, right? We've been so successful. How do we mark our success? And one of the ways that I'm suggesting is through our Freedom Seal. So we know there's a lot of work to be done, and we know that we need to, we heard many times, listening to the voice of survivors, putting into account the views of experienced trafficking victims, such as myself, designing and implementing, monitoring, and evaluating initiatives, again, having the voice. And I'm very proud and very happy that the member states have really taken an action to really bring that forward. So our accomplishments, what have we accomplished since 2010? We have a lot we have done. Of course, there are more to be done. And in 2013, when I went before you, the General Assembly and member states, I asked, to envision back then something that was impossible, but today we're seeing life and again, ways to solve this problem. One of them ways is in 2016, I had a privilege to work with the Consumer Goods Forum, and those member companies are directly employ nearly 10 million people, and they became the first to issue a public commitment to end forced labor in their supply chain. This commitment required the industry to publicly acknowledge and accept the issue and commit to addressing it. That's a big progress, right? I mean, these are achievements, and when we have an achievement, when we come with solutions, we need to celebrate them, right? So together, as we look and as we go forward, I would like for you to consider again, how do we celebrate these successes? Because we definitely need that as we move forward in this dark subject. So again, the gaps, technology, we've heard, very excited here for the technology of ILO platform. Those are things that we have talked about in the past. I'm also very excited to add the technology component with the Freedom Seal that will also help us to identify the trafficking victims, especially in children in Bihar. I was just there in the country of Bihar, of India. So again, gaps are being filled, and that is, again, helps me to see there are much success again. So again, the big data, as we talked about. So as far, I want to thank also the Ministry of Belarus and UNODC and others who had given me a platform to be able to share my story. Just on Monday, the Mission of Hungary hosted an event for our Global Sustainability Network, which is 200 change makers who are getting together and saying, okay, we got mandates from the UN, we know what we need to do, but we need people on the ground to implement it. So I was excited when 200 plus network of people came together, allowed the voice of survivors to be there, and then as the mission hosting the event. So thank you very much there. And so in conclusion, we realized, with this appraisal and with the global plan, I think there are ways that we will continue to measure our impact. I know others will come up with some solutions, and there are a lot of great ones coming together on that, so I'm very excited on that. So I stand here as a survivor, as a former victim, on behalf of millions of victims of children around the world who are enslaved, silenced, and unable to speak. Today, I speak for those without a voice. Today, I'm here to partner with you to help move forward your initiatives the great work that has been done in these reports. I'm here to stand with you, to stand with the missions and the member states to advance this work. So again, in conclusion, thank you so much for allowing me to express my gratitudes to this body, and special thanks again to everyone in this room for being here. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much for bearing witness to that, and as you had said, to giving a voice to these millions of victims. Thank you for representing them here today.